Hello, welcome to this week's staff brief. I'm Paul Robinson, I'm the Chief Executive here at Sherwood. And today, joining me, I have Rachel Eddie, our Chief Operating Officer, and Jacqueline Read, our Head of People Partnering. And they'll be covering the industrial action that's happening this week and later on into the weekend. And also, I have with me Ali Pearson, our Equality, Diversity, Inclusivity Lead, who will be talking all things Pride. Just before I hand over, a couple of updates from me. Firstly, spine corridor. So the spine corridor at Kingsmill Hospital will be closed to remove a failed structural slab and remove some asbestos and fit some new flooring. And that work will take place from the 21st of July until the 24th of July. And at that point, the spine corridor will be out of action. So we know that here at Kingsmill, pathology is the closest department to the works, and they'll be unable to use their main entrance door during the works. And all staff need to head round towards the FM yard and either exit out to car park 15 and walk round, or go via X-ray and walk past the education centre in order to gain access. Patients dropping off specimens will be redirected to Clinic 1 instead of using pathology. Medirest will ensure that signage is provided wherever needed, and reception staff will redirect those patients there. If you've got any problems you need to report during the time of these works, then please ring the help desk on 3005. Secondly, pulse survey. So the quarterly pulse survey is out. So as you know, we run an annual NHS staff survey that's a national survey, and that runs in Q3 of the year. But in the other three quarters of the year, we have a quarterly pulse survey. They're much shorter. There's 10 key questions, and they help us monitor feeling across the organisation more regularly than just the annual national staff survey. So you should have received an email. Please check your junk folder. The email will have arrived yesterday, and it will invite you to complete this quarter's survey. It could go to your personal email account, or it could be your nhs.net account. It is actually the email account that you registered when we were added to ESR. If you can't find the survey, please contact sfh-tr.odenquiries@nhs.net, and I'm hoping that Jess is sharing that link in the chat. The survey is open until the 31st of July, so please take this opportunity to have your say. And as with all the surveys, the annual national and the 3 quarterly pulse surveys, all results are anonymous. Okay, so I'll move on to Rachel and Jacqueline and an update on industrial action. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, and afternoon, everybody. So yes, we thought we'd just pop on just to give you an update on the industrial action. So the junior doctors strike, which has been running since Thursday last week, concluded at 7 o'clock this morning. So that's the longest period of junior doctor industrial action we've had to date. Thanks to the really good planning and support from all of our clinical teams, we've managed to get through that with no major issues from a patient safety perspective. We've kept everything going. So really all I want to say on that one is just a huge thanks to everybody who's stepped up to support, whether that's covering shifts or a lot of the supporting services that just helped to all the wheels while things were a little bit different on the ground. The main thing I wanted to talk about here was just to give people a heads up on the consultant strike that's happening on Thursday and Friday this week. So it officially concludes, I think, at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning. This industrial action is a little bit different in that what the BMA are proposing is that we run a Christmas Day service on those days, which is how we are structuring our response. So that obviously means that it won't necessarily be a Christmas Day service for the whole organisation, because lots of other teams will be in as normal, but from a consultant perspective it will be Christmas Day cover only across our wards, ED and other sort of urgent care services. The only exceptions that we'll make to that is where we know that individual consultants have made their intentions very clear that they intend to be here, and in that case we may be able to run a small number of clinics. We're not really anticipating running any routine elective activity, or certainly not very much routine elective activity, because we don't believe we'll have the staffing levels across the whole clinical team to do so safely. The other points I'd probably just make is that I think what is, again, because this is a slightly unusual situation of where we've got one group of staff who are working to a Christmas Day level of service, but lots of other groups of staff who aren't. We're also being very mindful of things like supervision. So to make sure, for example, that the junior doctors and SAS doctors who are still working have got access to the appropriate supervision from a more limited consultant body. So the divisions are sort of checking that service by service at the moment. And also in terms of any out of hours cover, which again may not be the same from a Christmas Day perspective, which again might limit what we can do during the day should we need, for example, post-op cover out of hours that wouldn't normally be provided on a Christmas Day service. So it's quite complicated, and obviously this is the first time we've had to deal with a consultant strike, but the planning being led through the divisional teams is already well underway, and the majority of our services have confirmed that they've got appropriate cover in place. So we're just meeting one more time tomorrow before the strike starts fully on Thursday, just to review those plans and make sure we've got everything covered. Probably the only other message to give is that what this effectively gives us is a 4-day bank holiday weekend, if you like, in terms of effect that's a bit akin to a Christmas weekend or an Easter weekend. So we've got additional wraparound support from our system in terms of helping us to get more discharges out in advance of that, and when we come back after the weekend. And I'd be grateful for everybody's help. If you do work in a service that contributes to flow or discharge, just be mindful of this is going to be a more extended period of us not having quite the same level of cover and decision making in place. So we all need to make sure that we keep flow going across our trust, so that we don't end up with patients waiting exceptionally long in the emergency department. Other than that, Paul, I'm very happy just to take any questions if anybody wants to post anything in the chat. Jacqueline,
thanks, Rachel.
HR perspective, if anybody wants to ask.
Well, Jacqueline, I'll invite you to talk about what support is in place, but I just wanted to just pick up on a point, Rachel, that you made around, we've got cover in place, and that is great. But in doing so, that means we're asking people to step up and go above and beyond and cover those areas. So I just wanted to make sure that I pass my sincere thanks to all those who are stepping up, going above and beyond, and providing safe patient care throughout this period of industrial action. So, Jacqueline, is there anything you can tell us around the additional wellbeing support that's in place to support colleagues this week?
Yeah, of course I can, Paul. Afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I mean, obviously, wellbeing of our colleagues is incredibly important during this time, and really want to reiterate, to make sure that everybody gets the right rest breaks to enable themselves to rest and rehydrate and refuel. And as part of that sort of wellbeing support that we've got for all colleagues across the organisation, recognising, as Rachel said, lots of teams will be supporting over the 48-hour period. So we have got refreshment facilities available on level 6 for all colleagues, as we have had with all of the other junior doctor strikes, and will continue to do so. So that is drink provision and refreshments for all colleagues. So yeah, to encourage everybody to make sure that they do take that right break over the next 48 hours.
Thanks, Jacqueline. And the Trust intranet page will be updated with all the details of the planning and arrangements that are in place, and also the wellbeing support that's also in place. I'm hoping, Jess, that you can provide a link to that intranet page in the chat. Otherwise, just to signpost everyone to the intranet page as you would normally access it. Okay, I can't see any questions coming in. I know you two have got to leave. If there are any questions that I struggle to answer that come in later, I'll pass them on to you, and we can include the responses in the bulletin, comms bulletin that goes out this week.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, just to reiterate, my thanks to everyone who's going above and beyond this week to continue to provide those emergency patient services and support colleagues in doing so. Okay, so moving on to you, Ali. So we're in the middle, just over middle of Pride Month. We know that at Newark there was the Pride March last week. We've got a Kingsmill Pride March coming up, and we've got the Nottingham event as well. So I'll hand over to you to give us the details.
Thank you very much, Paul, and good afternoon, colleagues. I hope everybody's well. So yeah, a bit of an update on Pride. So we had our Pride event over at Newark last week, and I must thank Newark colleagues for coming and saying hello to us on the stand, and to those colleagues that joined us for our mini march at Newark. It was a great effort by everybody, and as always, as our marches always are, we get a little bit of a moment in our very busy working time to have a bit of fun and enjoy ourselves. So thank you to everybody at Newark who engaged with us with regards to the information that we have available, but also for new people who were signing up for their rainbow lanyard. And so the Kingsmill event is taking place on Wednesday of next week, so that's the 26th of July. We will have a stand in the KTC from 11 o'clock on that day, so anyone who would like some more information about Pride. We also have leaflets that give you some of the lowdown on different words that are associated with the LGBTQ+ community, so people can pick up a bit of education when they come and see us. But also we're really happy to support colleagues who would like to become part of our Rainbow Lanyard scheme. So we do ask people to sign up as LGBTQ+ allies in order to get one, and Paul is modelling his beautifully this afternoon. So when the camera goes back on to Paul, you'll see he's modelling his lanyard beautifully for us today. So yes, colleagues are invited to come and talk to us about allyship for the LGBTQ+ community, sign up for a lanyard, but also to get involved in some of the other educational activities and just to show your support for the community. So that's Wednesday the 26th from 11 o'clock. Our march at Kingsmill will be through the front car park of the hospital. We did do, Paul will remember this, we did do a round the block Pride March one year. It turned out to be the hottest day of the year, and I think it's safe to say that none of us could cope with doing that again. It was a bit much, so we tend to just stick to our car parks now, but we do go to the main road at the bottom there, and we get some engagement from members of the public who hoot their horns for us, and certainly members of the public were doing that at Newark. So it's great to get members of the public involved in supporting us with that activity. So if you fancy joining the march, we will be starting at 12:30. So meet outside the main entrance of Kingsmill Hospital. So we look forward to seeing as many of you as possible there. And we do have a number of flags and accessories that we can loan to you to really take part in that. And I really want the live camera to switch to Paul, because he's really getting in the mood for Pride. He's currently shaking a progressive Pride flag, and as I said, he's modelling his lanyard perfectly. So keep doing that, Paul, for about 10 minutes and then the camera will come back to you, but hopefully not that long. So it's a good opportunity for us all to have a bit of fun together, but also there's some serious messaging behind Pride. And that is about belonging in the NHS. So whether you are a colleague here who identifies as LGBTQ+, we want all members of the community to feel that sense of belonging here, and that this is a safe place to receive to work, but equally for our patients in the community, we want them to know as well that we are a supportive organisation of our LGBTQ+ community, and that this is also a very safe place to come and receive care. So there's some important messaging around Pride, as well as that fun element that we have, and we'll be taking that message to Pride in Nottingham. So if anybody is in Nottingham City Centre on Saturday the 29th of July, for the first time, Sherwood Forest will be having its own stand at Pride. So in addition to the Pride March, we will be there promoting Sherwood as a place to receive care, but also to members of the Nottinghamshire community who may be looking for roles within the healthcare sector. We'll be there promoting Sherwood as a really great place to work as well. So if you happen to be visiting Pride this year on the 29th, do pop by and say hello to us. It will certainly give us a lift if we have some colleagues that stop by and say hello to us. And it's important to really be mindful that, you know, acknowledging, accepting, embracing the LGBTQ+ community is not just something that we do for the month of July or the days that we do marches. We look to support our colleagues every day in their working lives, and certainly our patients as well. And the ways that we do that, so we have our LGBTQ+ staff network, which is in place to support colleagues from the LGBTQ+ community and ensure that, the work life that people from that community have is equitable to those who identify as heterosexual. So it's important that we have that network in place to let us know where we're getting it wrong, but also to celebrate where we're getting it right. So there'll be more information on our stands as well on the 26th. So come and talk to us about joining the network. Obviously, the more people that we've got, the more change, positive change that we can make in terms of Sherwood being a great place to be for everybody. Another commitment that the organisation has made to our LGBTQ+ colleagues is we've recently had approval for our new people, trans and non-binary policy. So we now have a policy in place to support people who are from the trans community or identify as non-binary. We've also updated our guidance, so we've got a very comprehensive guidance document that's available now for colleagues if they're supporting someone from the trans community or someone who identifies as non-binary. There's a lot of information in there to help you as a colleague to support others in your day-to-day role. And we also have a transition support plan. So if a colleague makes the decision that they wish to transition whilst they're working for us, we have a support document that should be used by them, but equally they should be supported to use that document by their line manager and their colleagues. So we've put a real suite of documents in place that will support people from the trans community, but also identifying that within that we do have some colleagues who may identify as non-binary as well. So that's our commitment to ensuring that colleagues are supported every day of their working lives here at Sherwood. And as part of that, I'm running some trans and non-binary awareness sessions this month. So I've already run a couple of those sessions. There are 3 more available. The dates are in the comms bulletin, but I'll just give you a reminder of those now. So we've got a session this Thursday at 12 noon. We've got Monday the 24th at 12 noon, and also Friday the 28th at 11 AM in the morning. So that's about a 45-minute to an hour-long session. It's really a very starter awareness session in terms of looking at sex and gender identity, in terms of biological sexes and gender identity, and why some people don't fit within the binaries of male and female. We explore intersex, gender dysphoria. We also look at the lives of trans people in terms of the journey that they may go on in the transitioning genders. And then we also look at some of the behaviours that have been displayed in a workplace, a very specific workplace, to give you a guide of what not to do here at Sherwood. So that's actually a tribunal case that we look at so that we can see how ignorant behaviours and old-fashioned behaviours can really impact a trans person, and how that can impact an organisation as well. So it's a bit of a starter for us to make sure that we get it right for our trans and non-binary colleagues here at Sherwood. So I'm conscious I've given a lot of information to colleagues just then, so I'm going to pause and take a breath, and then we'll catch up with the Q&A, see if anybody's got any questions. Thank you, Paul, for having me as always.
Thank you. Thanks, Alex. Lots there, as you mentioned. So I think I got this right. So next Wednesday, so 26th of July is the Pride March here at Kingsmill Hospital. There's a stand in the KTC.
From 11,
From 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
29th of July is the Nottingham Pride event, and then there are 3 awareness sessions.
Yeah.
I only caught the last one being Friday the 28th because that's the one I'm free for, so I think I'll join there. And just on that note, you mentioned, and I was sort of proudly showing my.
I don't know where your flag's gone.
Don't worry, I'll show it again in a minute. So when I've just recalled, you reminded me of why I signed the allyship and the commitment and to receive my lanyard, to show support and to educate myself. Yeah. And I think these are it made me realise, just sat here thinking about that education. You were talking about some, maybe you described old fashioned values, and sometimes it's too easy to think how does it apply to me? What does it mean to me? Why is it important that I understand the new policy, for example, and the support plan around trans and non-binary? So I would urge everyone to do the same as me and to show support, but also to educate yourself, because I've learned lots in this, and the KTC store, I'm guessing, Ali, will be somewhere where they could come and access, anyone could come and access understanding the policy that you've just described, or more about those awareness sessions and why it's important, because I think that for me was the key to me understanding why should I be interested in this, and what it means, and what I can show support in and support colleagues with.
Absolutely, and there'll be lots of opportunities to engage with colleagues from the LGBTQ+ network. I'm going to be there. Mitchell Speed, who's our LGBTQ+ staff network chair, will also be around. So there'll be lots of opportunity to engage with colleagues and get a bit more of an understanding. And I think it's like all things diversity, isn't it, Paul? Wherever there's differences between colleagues or groups of colleagues, it's important that we have an awareness and we have an understanding, so that in that space of inclusion and belonging, which is something that we're striving for here at Sherwood, it helps. Having that education, having that understanding, that bit of knowledge is really, really helpful when you're in a space with people, and you may not even know that you're in a space where there is a trans person there, or a non-binary person there, or someone whose sexual orientation may be different to your own. You don't always know that, but it's about making sure that the behaviour, the language that we use is inclusive of everybody and isn't going to inadvertently cause upset or harm to somebody by using language and terms that aren't really acceptable. So it's about that education for ourselves and for all of us to kind of embrace that, and that's around wanting Sherwood to be an inclusive and inclusive workplace for everybody, where all colleagues have a real sense of belonging here. And we know that's not always the case. We know we're really good and we do some great stuff, but we know it's not always the case for everybody, that their experiences is the same as others. And that's, for me, is the key thing here. It's about that equity of experience, making sure that we're all having a good time here at work and we're all well supported. We all have that sense of belonging. So that bit of education can be really helpful in your journey. And I have to say that I had some feedback from a colleague who had read the new guidance document in particular and said that they had learnt a lot just through reading the guidance document. So I'll make sure that we've got some copies of that available, and I'll make sure that we've got easy access to that for colleagues, and it will be uploaded onto the EDI pages of the intranet, and that is easier to access now. So from the home page of the intranet, the first thing you'll see is the industrial action information, but if you scroll down, there are a series of tiles, and there is now an equality, diversity and inclusion and staff networks tile. So if you click on that tile, and then there's a menu navigator on the left, if you click for policies and guidance, it will be available in there for colleagues to have a look at their leisure. But yeah, we will encourage people, and I'll be there to talk about it on the day as well.
Fantastic, thank you. And you're absolutely right about the culture. What I would sort of describe that as wanting and enjoying actually the culture here as being respecting and supporting of everyone. Absolutely. And in doing so, that includes understanding differences and having awareness of them in order to support each and every member of our colleagues and teams. So that's why it's important to me. We've got a comment actually from Zoe. It's not a question, she says, but great to hear you will be at Nottingham Pride. Hopefully we'll see you there. Well done, Team SFH. So well done, Ali.
We'll say hello, Zoe, because it'd be lovely to see you.
Fabulous.
I always get excited when colleagues come along and say hello. So I did last year. I was, and we went Sherwood had a stand last year as part of the ICS. So did see a number of colleagues throughout the day, and I did get very excited. So it'll certainly bring a smile to our faces if you come and say hello, Zoe, and anybody else that's around in Nottingham on that day.
Brilliant. Okay, so I haven't got any more questions. I urge everyone who can attend the King's Mill march on it's Wednesday the 26th at 12:30, and you'll be able to access a flag on that march that hopefully won't be that terribly hot weather that you recalled and made me sweat even now thinking about it. But it'd be a great occasion. Please get involved if you can. Okay, so I'll draw today to a close. Thanks to everyone for attending. Thanks to Rachel and Jacqueline and Ali, and also thanks to Jess Baxter who makes all this happen smoothly. Thanks Jess, as always. As I said, thanks for joining. Hope you enjoy the rest of the week. Thank you to everyone going above and beyond providing that cover during the periods of industrial action. And I'll see you again in a couple of weeks following, and I'll see you on the Pride March at King's Mill if you're able to join. Okay, so I'll draw that to a close. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.